Hello you guys, welcome to another episode of I Watched It So You Don't Have To. This time around we're talking about Renfield, and I have to say I really enjoy when a movie has an interesting and unique twist. On top of that, your girl loves violence, the more the better. On top of that, we love vampires. The cherry on top of the cake, if you've been here for a minute then you know, Nicolas Cage. Love him. The cherry on top of the cake is Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Renfield is at the mercy of his narcissistic master, Dracula. He is forced to get meals for his master and do everything and anything he asks. However, after centuries of servitude, he's ready to live his life outside the shadow of the Prince of Darkness. If you watched the video that I posted last week about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, then you know that I wasn't actually planning on watching this movie. It seemed funny, but honestly, it just seemed really goofy, and overall, I was just unsure about it after I had seen the first trailer. But I saw the R-rated trailer recently, and the trailer was serving up so much violence that I was hooked. I'm really glad that I got tickets and ended up seeing this movie because it really surprised me. I really went in for Nicolas Cage and the violence, but I actually ended up really enjoying the story and the comedy throughout. Top of the list, we really have to talk about practical effects. Practical effects is going to tie into the acting, but we'll talk about the acting later. The practical effects, it's so refreshing to see in movies, and every time I'm able to spot practical effects, it's really exciting because the industry relies so much on CGI nowadays. Now, that's not saying that this movie is completely without CGI. It's got plenty of it, and it's very obvious. I don't want to say the CGI is bad. It is, I want to use the word cartoony, but it's also unrealistic. It's a lot. It's a lot, especially in terms of the violence, but it really just stood out that much more because there were so many standout moments with the practical effects. The storyline is really easy to follow. It's super simple. It's not groundbreaking, but what is interesting, that interesting twist that I talked about at the top of the video, is how it's executed. If you've seen the trailer, then you know about the group therapy scene. Well, I really enjoy how important the group therapy was throughout the entire film and how those scenes were some of the most entertaining scenes in the entire movie, hands down. I love me a good comedy movie, and I love this movie's brand of ghoulish humor. And honestly, you guys, I just think absurd and over-the-top violence is hilarious bonus points because this movie doesn't pan or cut away. Now, I know I keep going on and on about the violence, but there's plenty of humor apart from the violence that really sticks the landing, but there are some misses, but not enough to outweigh how fun this movie is. I promised the practical effects would tie into the acting, and here we are talking about the man, Nicolas Cage. I love. Now, I told you guys that initially I thought the movie was gonna be goofy, and when I first saw his teeth in the trailer, you guys, I was like, no way, this is too much. Yo. The way I loved it more and more while watching the movie. The way this man was acting through those fake teeth, I love it. I'm very much used to the movies where the vampires have their set of, pearly whites, right? Then they have their fangs, their, for lack of a better word, monster teeth, right? The commitment, you guys, amazing. Acting through the teeth, spectacular. I got off track just a little. The practical effects, I don't want to spoil anything, but at a point they had him in some very convincing and very gross, I'm talking squishy, wet noise sounds, prosthetics. It was disgusting and it looked so good. But the way he was acting through the makeup, incredible. He was without a doubt the star of the show, and he stole every scene he was in every single time. A very large and threatening character, and the layers of wit and malice coupled with the manipulation and lack of empathy really made him and his relationship with Renfield so interesting. And honestly, we should have gotten more of Nick Cage as Dracula. Let's talk about Nicholas Hoult as Renfield. I actually really like his acting in this movie. He gave really good range. He's convincing as the scrambling servant to the character that he strives to be. I really like seeing his character journey through to the end of the movie. Okay, I watched it so you don't have to, but was it worth the watch? Absolutely. Now, here's the thing, you guys. If you don't mind blood and guts, a few guts, quite a few guts, actually, then I would watch this movie. One thing that I didn't mention earlier is that this movie actually has really good lighting, and the lighting is really cool, especially, of course, the contrast, and it just looks good, but it also enhances the characters as well. On top of that, it's fun and entertaining, and it definitely doesn't feel like it's very short 1 hour and 33-minute runtime. The movie packs in a lot of background for Renfield and Dracula in an inspired and unique way that's ripped straight from the black and white classics. When it comes to other characters, you don't really get as much in as interesting of a way. So, for instance, Awkwafina's Rebecca really just seems uninteresting. Not that you can't connect with her or empathize with her, it's just her background is kind of laid out in a little bit of dialogue, and then of course it drives her character, but she just kind of fell flat for me. I do like her action sequences though, but I don't really think she stood out, especially against Nicolas Cage and even Nicholas Hoult. But if you're looking for a laughably violent movie, it is over the top, you guys. If you're looking for a fun movie, if you're looking for a short movie that's easy to follow, or if you want to see Nick Cage as Dracula, I would be sure to check this movie out. But if gore and violence is not for you, CGI or practical effects, if you're critical about humor, I can definitely see how some of the humor in this movie could fall flat, come across childish, or just not be funny at all. If you don't like Awkwafina, and I will say that she does have quite a bit of screen time, or if you don't want to see a movie about and getting out of a toxic relationship, then I would skip this movie, or if you're still kind of interested, maybe watch something else in the genre. Alright, movie fans, that brings us to the end of the video where I watched it so you don't have to. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you very much. I'll leave a link to the podcast in the description below if you're watching here on YouTube. Leave the video a thumbs up if you liked the video so I know you liked the video. Let me know down below, have you seen Renfield? If you saw the movie already, what did you think about it? As you can probably already tell, I really enjoyed the movie. It picks up fast and the pacing for the most part is pretty consistent. I said it earlier and I'm gonna say it again, Nicolas Cage should have had more screen time. So I was talking to my honey after we watched the Super Mario Brothers movie, and if you watch the video, then you know the standout for me really was Jack Black's Bowser. And one thing that we were talking about with him is that he seemed like he had such a good time and he just like overperformed for the bar that the movie set. And the same could be said here for Nicolas Cage too. He excelled, he went over the top, he was absolutely fantastic, and he knocked it out of the park. Let me know your thoughts on the movie in the comments below. While you're down there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next movie that I'm going to be watching for you. You guys, I promised that I would keep you updated, so here it is. Dungeons and Dragons is going to be a podcast exclusive along with the other movie that I watched this weekend, Suzume. I don't want to do podcast exclusive episodes on the movies that I've seen in theaters. That is not my plan. Again, the exclusives were movies that I was streaming, and then the videos would be the ones I saw in theaters, but I need to manage myself realistically and not overdo it. It'll help with my mental health and keep things manageable, so please bear with me as I catch up. The podcast exclusive for Dungeons and Dragons is going to drop today with this video, so check out the link in the description below or check out the communities tab for a link to that episode. If you're waiting for Suzume, it's going to drop next week with next week's movie, which is, you guys, if you've been here for a minute, if you follow me on Instagram, then you know, Evil Dead Rise. I'm really excited to watch the movie, but I'm also low-key kind of scared. But here's the thing, I did watch Evil Dead last night with my honey, and you guys, I'm actually feeling really good about this. It was a good time, so I think I'm ready for Evil Dead Rise. You can catch new episodes of I Watched It So You Don't Have To every Friday. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and for watching and for subscribing. And until the next video, spread positivity, be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.